the success and the progress of fan base in this last week or so. Um, all right, so right now it says currently number 7 on the Apple App Store and number 18 overall. I'm sorry, well, it's number 7 on the Apple App Store for social media and number 18 overall in the App Store, just in general. So that's dope. And they've had 170,000 people join Fanbase in the last 48 hours. So I know Isaac hit the 5 million mark, but I think they're at like 5.2 million raised at this point. So as you see, this app is growing profoundly. The equity raise is going up. So hopefully everybody who jumps in this call has invested at least something into the app. Y'all know I rarely talk about the raise and all of that. I don't ever want people to get it confused about I don't work for Fanbase. I the employee of Fanbase. Isaac is my partner, but I do this call because I see value in it. So I rarely get to the money side of it, but I am proud of him for what he's been able to do up to this point. And like I said, raising $5 million ain't easy. Hell, raising $500 ain't easy. So to get to 5.2 as of today is fucking amazing. So kudos to him. Yeah, so like I said, I don't know where he is, but like I said, we'll go ahead and kind of jump into today's topic. As y'all see at the top, today's topic is can your brand survive without TikTok? So I want to set this up a little bit. I feel like it's a generational divide to a certain degree. And partially just it may be more generational. I think that we'll talk about this a little bit more as we get into the audience and up to my people on the stage. I saw a lot of older people like myself and Dean when he first got on. He was like, "I ain't hope it all burned down." We don't seem to be as worried about TikTok going away because we've learned to rely on everything else. We were here prior to TikTok. We were building brands, becoming who we were without the aid of an app in general, not even just TikTok, but any app. A lot of us made our names in real life, going hand to hand, face to face, person to person, shaking hands and kissing babies. And so we're not as concerned per se with the absence of TikTok or any app going away. But I can tell you with certainty from what I've seen, that is not the case for a lot of the younger creators. It's definitely not the case for a lot of the younger people that are in the music business. I'm seeing labels, with me being in the music business, I'm seeing A&Rs, I'm seeing artists, I'm seeing managers question the viability of like what happens in the music business in particular with TikTok going away. These creators who have been building their brand, making money, uh, and doing their thing on TikTok, they're looking at it and saying, "Oh shit!" It's like essentially getting laid off from a gig. Like I've seen people damn near in tears. I actually saw one person actually in tears with the thought of TikTok actually going away. And I think it was a joke last year. It was something that everybody's like, "It ain't going nowhere. It ain't going nowhere." And I still see that. But now this thing feels extremely real that it could definitely happen. The deadline stage, correct me if I'm wrong, it's the 19th, right? So it's like
Yes.
this Sunday coming up. Yeah, the 19th is the deadline to find out kind of how this thing is going to play out. So we got, a little less than 7 days before this happens. So stage, I'm going to throw it to you guys first. What do you guys think happens when if TikTok goes away? What happens to, and I don't want to limit this conversation to the music business. I know a few of my music business partners are up here, Junior, Dean, a lot of us are in entertainment, so I don't want to limit it there. But what do you guys think happens to a few industries? Or what industries do y'all think will be affected most by the absence of TikTok? And then we'll get into the alternatives. We'll get into solutions. We'll get into how to actually navigate these waters with this app gone. So I'll throw it to you guys first. Like, who do y'all think is affected the most by TikTok being gone?
These young content creators.
Yeah. I would say like home and lifestyle brands that use influencers like the Black Love and family influencers and social media personalities. I think them because they use TikTok and Instagram Reels a lot for their promotion.
It's definitely going to be. So if you look at the data, TikTok demographics 33.3% of, and this is the age distribution globally, 18 to 24, 36.1% is 25 to 34, 15.4% is 35 to 44. I fit that category. The age distribution as far as the usage in America, 18 to 24 is 25% of the population, 25 to 34 is 30% of the population, and 35 to 44 years of age is 19% of the population. Then you have 45 to 54 is 13%, 55 plus is 14%. So it's going to be a natural shift to another platform or a set of platforms. This is why you see, and it's not just because Fanbase exists. Isaac's been doing a lot with promoting the platform, specifically with regards to what's happening inside of the landscape. So shout out to him. He's probably tired, probably resting because of that.
Pro-
I mean, yeah, I mean like a lot. So that's going to continue to happen. But there are going to be some people. I was thinking about it when you were asking, and Nick. There are going to be some people immediately affected because some people, to the point where Dean started, they put their entire shops, like people, they utilize TikTok Shop as their website. They utilize TikTok Shop as their money mechanism, equivalent to how a lot of people did 15 years ago with Shopify. So they will be immediately affected if they didn't have a backup system, if they don't have a set of emails, if they don't have a website where they can say, "Hey guys, I know you guys follow me on TikTok. Here is where to go next in order to keep up with me." In addition to that, the other issue I see, some of those platforms don't have the built-in mechanisms that TikTok have for them to be able to monetize. For example, it may sound super simple to shift over to Instagram, but Instagram haven't really built in those money mechanisms in their live format. That's equivalent to how TikTok Live work for them to be able to make money on live through live shopping. They haven't had those mechanisms. In fact, none of Meta family of apps have those particular mechanisms, and it resonates because TikTok is a Chinese company, and most of those China apps built that whole mechanism. My wife calls it the digital casino, where everything's going on the live, and you can buy jewels and buy all type of virtual currencies. So people may struggle immediately, but it's going to be a lot of platforms that change how their platform work within a week because of the nature of TikTok potentially being shut down. But I would go definitely for the influencers that utilize TikTok as their primary money mechanism and they don't have a backup system. Those are the individuals going to be affected. As far as the top line brands, even the music industry always shift to where the puck is skating. And the power the music industry always have is the fact that they own the licensing to all of the big artists in the world. That's why it was always hard, even for Spotify and Deezer and all of those other streaming services to really gain control because the labels would just remind them, well, you guys are big, but you have our content. We'll pull the contract from you. So the music industry will be fine. They'll just find somebody else to bully. The same with the movie industry. It's those
Facts.
influencers that's going to actually really struggle. I'm going on mute.
There it is. I see Adrena, she posted something in the chat, right? She was like, people's whole personality is built on TikTok. And I saw that, and my immediate reaction was like some of the kids that I've met, in particular, some of the interns that I've had in the last year or so. Like some of these people are extreme introverts, right? They don't really speak much. They're extremely quiet, really, 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 really keep to themselves. But then on TikTok, I'm like, who is this person? Like it's just wild to kind of watch the license and the freedom that some of them have when they're on their phone and they're able to kind of give off this energy or this personality. But when you meet them, they're like, yeah, I don't do any of that in real life. Um, I think even beyond a business level, I think some people's person, like their whole person may take a hit to a certain degree. I think for sure it affects music, but it definitely harms the discovery process because people have grown to depend on these apps. I mean, think about how many recipes, think about how many dances, think about how much news is consumed on this particular app on TikTok. So it's like, now what do you do? It's not like the world shuts down just because TikTok goes away, but people's main go-to source, it's almost like if you took away, I don't know, CNN or Fox News from like an older generation and was like, yeah, we don't air that no more. Like I feel like it's something similar to that. It's like, yeah, I can go get news somewhere else, but I'm just programmed to turn to channel 36 every day. So I am curious of how this plays out. Anybody else on the stage before we start going into like alternatives or whatnot?
Well, shit. I mean, I think it's interesting that it's gonna change because in all actuality, it's the way of the world. You know what I'm saying? Like nothing is forever. So it's like I'm not gonna lie. Like as a person that's been on Instagram for 15 years, like this one of the things we've been hearing about Instagram. It's like, well, shit, nigga, if your whole business exists on Instagram, what's gonna happen when if or when they have to shut down? You know what I'm saying? But the thing about it is balance is always key. And at least in my opinion, balance is always key. So it's like if you've never been comfortable as an influencer making your name in person or moving around, like it's gonna require that you grow a little bit. And growth is always, necessary. It's itchy as fuck and annoying, but influencers gotta figure out another way to survive. And so does the music, because if I'm not mistaken, the music industry, I can speak on just music, but it's so weird that over the past 5 to 6 years, if not longer, like I haven't worked in it in that long for in quite a few years, but God damn it, like if they're doing all their talent scouting and on TikTok and doing all like, oh, is this record hot based off of you know what I'm saying? Like it kind of takes you know what I'm saying? It takes a lot of the autonomy away from A&Rs who, have great ears and have great connections and who know a lot of great artists who are getting ignored and, whatever, because it's like, well, what are your numbers looking like? What are your TikTok numbers looking like? So on and so forth. Can you make us a TikTok record? So it's like the pivot is always more beneficial than whatever you had to pivot away from if you think creatively.
My last statement to what Nick you were saying about um, them having to change and their dependency rather on TikTok. My concern is going to be the mental health ramifications if this follows through and they do get rid of TikTok. How are they going to cope? Yes, find a different way to find your brand. There are different avenues, there are different means and ways to you go about it, but just like you were saying, if they took away CNN and you're programmed to turn on channel 36 every day, yes, you know that there are other ways, but that still is gonna take a hit on their mental, and that's my concern.
I think people's mental health will improve if TikTok goes down.
I I disagree, Dane. I
I
think I
know.
think we've
Think it
all
will.
become too reliant on it. I don't well, not in I don't know, Dean.
Yeah,
I
go
feel
cold
like
turkey.
in the immediate.
When people on heroin and they put you in motherfucking rehab and you gotta sweat it out and lay in the bed and shiver and shake, niggas got to shiver and shake. Get off this shit. Go outside, touch some fucking grass, smell the fresh air.
I don't
Oh,
know.
cops are not motherfuckers, man. Sitting behind TV screens all day. Don't get me fucking started on this fuck shit.
Hey,
Like,
nah, bro. Listen, you ain't been through a breakup before. You ever talk to somebody every
I
day
did been through
and
all that.
then
I've been through divorce before, nigga. The fuck you talking about? Breakup. Been through
you
divorce.
ever
Nick,
talk to somebody every day and then y'all just stop talking?
Nick,
I
you
stood in,
Like,
I stood in courtrooms before over this shit. Let me tell you
And
something.
you're
Yes.
15,
Let me tell you something.
thank
and
you,
you're
thank
I've
you.
done
14,
that.
okay?
You
15,
did it
I've
as a
done that.
grown
16 in
man. You
high
did it as a grown
school.
man. You
Hold
didn't
up.
do it as a
No. Let
15
me
year old,
let's
17-year-old.
rewind. Let's rewind. Y'all done that. Oh, the heartbreak. Oh man, she broke up with me. You know what I did when the
What
Magic
if an
City on
app
Monday?
breaks up with you?
You said what?
What if an app breaks up with you? Something that you're
That's your
dependent on
whole
every day.
world.
Yo, hold up, hold up. People, Nick, you been outside. You act like the world wasn't reliant on MySpace. The world was reliant on MySpace, not just the music industry. The original place for creators. I do fashion. I'm gonna do this. I do that. I'm an aspiring movie star. Whatever you do, right? That shit went gone. Like it's just the way of the world. Black Planet gone. Like Snapchat is still here, but ain't what it used to be. Like it's just, nigga, what's gonna happen is
Listen, I agree, but here's the thing, and I knew somebody was going to bring up MySpace. MySpace didn't get taken away. We just decided MySpace wasn't cool no more, and we all moved on to something else. We've all transitioned to a newer thing. Like it's just like the kids going from Nike to New Balance now. Nike didn't go away. We just like, ah, yeah,
so
we do
I
something
will
else
say
now.
this. Somebody that always said this for the last 10, 15 years is Ryan Leslie. Brian Leslie has been saying if you don't, the one thing he's not, and wasn't just talking about musicians. If you are a creator of any kind, if you don't create your own platform, not I'm not saying you got to
Facts,
build a
facts,
fan
facts,
base or you got to build whatever, but somebody said it earlier. If you don't have your own email list, your own database,
facts.
you don't have your own essentially your own phone book, how we used to have back in the day, outside of this phone, because once again, everything's digital, everything's inside of a cloud, right? What if Apple just crashes all around the world and Samsung just crashes all? We see fucking fires just can't be put out in California, right? Like, I don't want to go on some conspiracy theory shit, but bro, the way of the world is good, the way of the war is going to be through cyber technology, right? And it's like if you can't, everything's your money is connected to the internet and the bank, right? Everything is connected to this. I remember, Nano, remember, we see when the few times when Instagram might be down and people just go over to Twitter in droves, right? And it feel like Twitter is like '07 or some shit like that. Like the way people be on Twitter when Instagram will go down for 5 hours, 3 hours, 2 hours. Oh my God. Right? People don't know what to do. They be scrambling like roaches when the lights come on. So the thing is, you're gonna have to get real creative with whatever you do. If you sell t-shirts and you've been moving a lot of product on TikTok, you have to get real creative with D2C. Like, how do you go direct to consumer? How are you reaching your audience? Like, whatever it is, are you doing pop-ups? Are you getting in the car? Do you have your own website where people can buy the merch directly from you and don't have to reach out to you via TikTok? Like, what if it all go down? I've said this in meetings before, Nick. If right now today, if TikTok went down, Instagram went down, Twitter went down, Snapchat went down, how would you market anything? Fuck an artist. How would you market anything? Anything. How would you promote it? How would you get the word out if
You're
all
not.
those things went down today?
So listen, you're not well, a couple of things. Hold on. So we're approaching the midpoint of the call. Now, see, we got a lot of people who just jumped on, and I want to start bringing people up. So raise your hand. Gary's gonna bring you up. I saw somebody, a new face that I hadn't seen, somebody named Nicholas that was on stage. If we can get him back up here, because I definitely want to hear what he has to say. And like I said, raise your hand. I see Charlene has had her hand up. I don't know if that's an accident or not. But I guess my bigger question becomes like, one, am I the only person who didn't actually believe like this would ever go away? Like we've always heard that conversation about what happens if such and such goes away, but none of us have actually seen anything actually go away, right? Like we've been hearing that same jargon of, "Well, you don't build your whole platform on Instagram because if Instagram goes away." But I'll be honest, and maybe I'm naive or just silly, I never really thought Instagram was gonna go away. Likewise with TikTok and any other app. Like we just ain't never seen it.
They they
We've
did it
seen things
before,
become
Nick.
less cool, but we've never seen something go away.
So they
So
did. They did before. It just was not with a platform that's social media first, like TikTok. WeChat got kicked out of America, and it was a bit more silent. And WeChat is a they probably have a billion users, or probably actually more than that, close to 2 billion users worldwide. And they were listed as one of the first super apps in the world, and they got WeChat up out of here. And they told WeChat, hey, you have to change the nature of your app. It can't be in America because we don't really know what's going on as far as the data exchange from the messages. And literally overnight, a lot of people were utilizing WeChat. This is what actually positioned WhatsApp to become really big, and Mark Zuckerberg jumped on top of that. But you could go to WeChat and they said, hey, you need a Chinese ID number to log into your WeChat, and people couldn't get back inside of the platform. So it's not so surprising that this can happen. What I would say, Nick, is the jury is still out if Trump is going to attempt to pull a move to allow TikTok to actually stay, or if TikTok is going to believe that they've met their fate and sell the assets. So the app can exist in America if they are to sell it. If something transpire on the legal side where Trump can pull a move for them, that's one thing. But outside of that, they can sell the assets to an American technology company and the brand can survive. Now, does that mean it's going to work like it did before? Probably not, because the way that that algorithm is structured was built by the software engineers that work at ByteDance, not the software engineers that's going to be the acquirer. But they can definitely stay here in America. And there's a few bids out for it. Kevin O'Leary is attempting to buy it. 20 billion is not enough. That's just laughable. I don't know what the hell he was thinking with that. But there's other Oracle was looking to actually purchase the asset. So yeah, again, I can imagine a world where these kids can be shifted over to another platform. Some very smart people that's preparing. And look what's happening with Fanbase. Number 7 is almost impossible to get in the social media category. Like that's the hardest category in the App Store.
What do
And
you
then number
TikTok value that?
right now it's crazy how they're valuing it because some people are saying 30 billion. The 20 billion came from the fact that they had 16 billion dollars in revenue, so they put 4 billion on top of the actual revenue, the last revenues. But I've seen something as high as 150 billion because
Woo.
ByteDance, the parent company, is worth close to 350 billion. That's the company that owns TikTok. And the argument was that TikTok represents about 150 billion of that 350 billion dollars in value. If I had to speculate, I would say TikTok is worth $200 billion, easy, clear, like
Yeesh.
You mind to come
yeah,
by it?
like clear. So nobody actually. It's a hard asset to purchase, even if you're going to utilize debt and equity. But my last point. So I can see one of these platforms shifting these kids over, but then the question becomes how sustainable is it, Nick? Because it's a lot of mechanisms that they built in, and those engineers are at ByteDance. Those are a specific set of engineers. So even if you buy the asset or shift the kids over, maintaining a product and scaling it, that secret sauce is with that team that built it initially. I'm going on mute.
I think you and your wife should buy it.
Oh, he can go.
Hey, there it is.
I want to get Nicholas up. Like I said, that's a new face I hadn't seen before, and I definitely want to. I see we got a lot of new people in the audience that we haven't spoken to before. That might be their first time joining in. So let's kind of get some of them up and have them participate. So, Gary,
Absolutely. Yes, please. So 10:30 mark is when we start to pull people out of the audience. If you would like to get on stage and add to the conversation, first tell us where you're from, and then make your point. If you can, create a profile picture before you come on stage so people can identify you. But yeah, hit the little hand raise button and let's get you up here. Let's see,
Guerrilla
Nicholas,
marketing. Get on your guerrilla marketing.
straight up. Nicholas, welcome to the stage. Tell us where you're calling from. What would you like to add to the conversation? If you're muted, unmute yourself, my brother.
or you know what? A lot of the new users might have to do the thing where they set the mic up. So that might be a issue. I see him coming off on mute, but we can't hear him.
All right. Well, take a few minutes to set your mic up, your brother. We'll be here.
Yeah.
Let's see. Who else?
I
Who else?
saw. I see Grand Slam look like Grand Slam. I seen Charlene earlier. I don't know where she went.
Yeah.
Jay Fetty. I see a few.
Yeah. I'm clicking on your hand. So if you get a notification to come on stage, please accept it. Sean, welcome to the stage. Where you calling from? What would you like to add to the conversation?
What's up, good people, man? This is Sean in Atlanta, man, by way of Chicago, man. Hope everybody is well. This is funny that I'm hearing so much misinformation about TikTok and about this. Some people are pro and con with it. For listen, the cons that people are feeling about TikTok, far as the algorithms and this and that. That's social media platforms. Period. That's the business behind it. ByteDance is the giant behind it. They also own CapCut. They also own Lemonade as well. Lemonade probably be on the list next to disappear. But I mean, I think people need to get more informed about you know uh, social media platforms that are worth their while if they're trying to use that as for monetary gain. Fanbase is an excellent way. We know the others too as well. But just educate yourself. The purchase of TikTok for 20 billion or whatever was realistic. TikTok is worth in that range. So we just have to just inform ourselves properly. ByteDance is what the government really has an issue with because of the information that they're giving to what they feel is Chinese intelligence. But if that's the case, listen, man, Big Brother's watching everything. I don't know why we making or why this big fuss. That was a personal target. I think it went further than what it is because if this really goes through, social media on an overall was going to be targeted. Period. To be extinguished and controlled, and I think that's what we're not looking at. TikTok is a start, but it will hit to others as well. And it's just more of a big attack on freedom of speech and et cetera. That's why Mark Zuckerberg had to unloosen his pants and say, hey, let me stop restricting people from freedom of speech and content because people are slowly leaving away. People are starting to create their own, and that's what's happening. And this is bigger than TikTok.
So
Just my 2 cents.
concerning marketing, what brand can or can't survive with or without TikTok?
I think people who are like who have e-com, or people who are selling products and strictly using TikTok's like market shop to sell their products. I think that it's more catered and designed for that, for people who do that. Other platforms are necessarily not so. TikTok shop is really, really big, and one, because they have a lot of generic, where they're getting their sources from for their materials. But people who are independent and who are, their own designers and etc. they're gonna find it really, really hard to put it on any other kind of platform. Especially when we get to like Facebook and Instagram,
Good point.
being that Meta controls that, and you're gonna have to pour into Meta in order for them to push your product. You're
Facts.
gonna get to the 20 or 30% of the people that follow you, but you're going to have to increase your follower intake, which means you're going to have to invest into their advertising campaign. Then two, you're going to have to push, where now you're going to realize that's going to take you that's half the year gone. Just you trying to create a platform for people to say, hey, I got this shea butter I want to sell, just for
Facts.
example.
Facts.
And then
It
by
is.
the time that we get to the end of the year, you're in fourth quarter sales. You got to hope and pray that people have any money left over from the year to even buy the little whatever you're selling, and you've invested more into trying to get noticed until you actually seeing you're going to be in the red before you're going to be in the black.
They better save and integrate all that content.
There it is.
Absolutely,
Let's
absolutely,
get
man.
Nicholas.
Uh,
Is your mic working yet?
Save, integrate, and repurpose the content.
We'll keep working on it. All right, so Grand Slam Pizza, welcome to the stage. Tell us where you're calling from. What would you like to add to the conversation?
I'm calling from Kennesaw, Georgia. How you doing this morning?
Life is good, bro. Life is good.
Good. As a food restaurant, we went viral on TikTok with the oxtail pizza and other platforms that you mentioned earlier. I don't think that they had a bigger impact on restaurants and food industry like TikTok has. A lot of
Oh yeah.
people that are foodies and love reviews and follow the trends that are going on with food follow TikTok. And I would say when we went viral, I would say 80% of our clientele was coming from TikTok. When people hear about us, I say, "How do you hear about us?" TikTok, 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 TikTok.
Yep.
So to move to a different platform, I'm on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're on um, other platform, but no other platform has, in my opinion, has put people like Keith Lee and You Film Me TV and other food reviewers out there in a in such a large audience like TikTok has. And it's going to be hard to replace that, in my opinion.
So Grand Slam. Hold on. I want
Yeah.
to ask you a question. I want to